So today we're talking about piecewise functions. Are they peaceful? Yes, they're very peaceful. They just lay there on the worksheet until you graph them. And basically we're going to be graphing these things. And I want you to think of it this way. It's just graphing a normal equation. Like if I grab these two parts, f of x is negative 1/2 x plus 6. That's just a line. It's a line that has what for a y-intercept? 6. And what's its slope? Negative 1/2. So if I had you graph that, you'd graph it by starting at the 6, put a dot there, and then you'd have a slope of negative 1/2. It's kind of tricky. Instead of, it's rise over run. So rise is negative 1. That means fall 1 and run 2. So it goes like this. Fall 1, run 2. Fall 1, run 2. Fall 1, run 2. And it goes like that. Okay, so there's the line. So it's just graphing a normal line. Same with this one. Then you graph this normal line. Okay? And when you're all done, you've graphed two lines that are over the top of each other. Okay, let's graph this one real quick. It's an upside down V. It's a V that's been moved to the right 6 and up 10. So it would be a V that would be like over here, going like this upside down. Remember the V's like that? Okay. So you just graph both of them, but together they can't be a function, can they? Because together they're going to overlap and it wouldn't pass the vertical line test anymore. If you wanted to make a function out of both of these, then you have to look at your constraints. This one is only going to be this red function between 0 and 4. So it's only going to be the V between 0 and 4. So between 0, which is here, and 4, which is like here, it's going to be the V. So it's only the V for this part of the time. I'm going to make it really dark. So it's only the V in there, and it can't be anything else in there. So I go erase the other function in there, because it can only be one function at a time. All right, I'm going to get rid of these up and down lines. They were just kind of helping me. Okay, and then it's going to be this part of the line between 4 and 9. So between 4 and 9, that's from here to here about, it's going to be that line. So I would get rid of the V-shaped part in there. There is a really quick idea of what you do. All right, so here is a more official one. And I'm going to have you do this problem with me on graph paper that I'm giving you, because basically what I'm going to do is, here is your worksheet. We're just going to do the first two problems of it together, okay? And then from there you'll be off and running and can do the rest. All right, so you get the idea that a piecewise function has two functions in one. Do you get that? It can even be three functions in one. Do you get that when it's all done, it has to pass the vertical line test? So if I graph a parabola on this side and a V on this side, that could be okay. But if I tried to have the V and the parabola together over there, you see how that wouldn't work? They can't overlap each other like that. So I'd have to erase it down so that it's only one function at a time. Otherwise, a vertical line like this, drawn in, if it can't pass the vertical line test, you didn't do it right. Okay? All right, so I need some, I'm going to pause while I hand these out. Okay, so I'm back, and you all have a worksheet now. My advice on these is to start by graphing both functions completely with pencil. Make sure you use pencil. Otherwise, if you try to do this in pen, you can't erase your pen later. All right, so let's graph both of these completely. So let's start by graphing the first one there. Negative 1/2 x plus 6. So I find 6, put a dot there. Slope is fall 1, run 2. So I'm going to do that like this. There. I got my whole line in there. I graphed the whole thing. I do it in pencil though. Okay, now I'm going to graph the red one. The red one is absolute value of x minus 6 plus 10. So that is a V shape. I know because it's an absolute value. It's a V shape that has been flipped and has been moved 6 to the right and up 10. Now I can do that from my head fairly easily. I don't know if you can or not. If you can't, you can always make an XY chart for this and find some points, you know, like pick any point you want, like pick 5 and see what comes out. Put in a 5, put in a 5 here. 5 minus 6 is -1, absolute value is 1, and then make it negative. -1 plus 10 will be 9. So 5 comma 9, see, it's a dot right there. So if you want to make a list of points, you can do that. So if you have a graph that you can't figure out, then I encourage you, that's that one, to make an XY chart for it. All right, so I've got my 2 lines. Notice they overlap. To be able to figure out which parts I should keep and which parts I should erase, I now look at the domains. This says it only should work, this function, the blue one, should only work between 0 and 4. So remember, those are lines like this. If I bring this up, 0 to 4 is from there to there. Do you get what I'm saying? It's in the white space in between those 2 black things. So the blue line should only be between 0 and 4. That means right in here. So I would darken that in on your graph, and then I would erase everything else that was on the blue line. Only the part from 0 to 4 matters. Okay? Next, the other one, the red line here, that was only good between 4 and 9. So anything that's on the red line that's outside between 4 and 9 would be erased. So I'm going to erase all the way up to there. And it's only between 4 and 9. So there's 4 to 9, which is right there, which is the places I want the red line. Now, if you can remember this part, most kids get these right up to here. Like they've done it right so far. Most kids can get that part. There's my answer. But they get it marked wrong because they don't do their endpoints right. Okay? Do you notice at 4? 4 is the critical moment because it looks like they might be overlapping. They might not pass the vertical line test. If I bring a vertical line here in, there's a vertical line. You see how it might not, I got to get rid of that guy now. It might not pass the vertical line test. So here's what you do. Your endpoints are very important. I see many of you getting this marked wrong for forgetting this part. You fill in a filled-in circle whenever it's a greater than or equal to. So on this line here, it's both ends are filled in circles. On the red one, do you get how on the red one it says that it can't be 4? So it has to be an empty spot right there. And then a filled in spot there. So double check your endpoints. I know there's going to be some people that get those marked wrong. They'll have everything right, but they'll have like a solid dot right here and a solid dot right here, and that's not possible because it won't pass the vertical line test now. Do you get the difference? All right. So watch your endpoints carefully. All right. Pretty much done with that one. Let's go on to the next one, which looks like this. And my advice is graph both of them lightly in pencil from beginning to end. Graph the whole thing. Ignore this stuff for now. Okay, just ignore that. So how do I graph negative 2x minus 1? Well, I start at negative 1, because that's the y-intercept. I have a slope of negative 2, so I don't rise 2 and run 1. I fall 2 and run 1. Fall 2, run 1. Fall 2, run 1. This is all basic algebra stuff that you need to be a ninja at. Like, that should be easy for you. And then the red one. The red one, I graph a parabola that's been moved right 3 and up 5 and flipped over. Whew, that's intense. What if this is just too much for me? I can't move my parabola right and flip it and all that stuff. Then I can make an XY chart like this and find some points that are in it. All right, so if I wanted to, I could pick like 0. And I stick in a 0 here. I would have negative 3 squared, which would be 9. And then I make it negative. Negative 9 plus 5 would be negative 4. So 0 goes with negative 4. 0 down 4 right there. And I could try another point, stick in like 1. And I'd have 1 minus 3 would be negative 2, squared is 4. Then I make it negative. Negative 4 plus 5, which would be 1. So 1 goes with 1. Now if I want to get a big picture kind of look at this, remember it was a parabola that has been, I'm going to do it, what I can do on my smartboard that you can't do at home is I can go like this. Here's my parabola. And now I just need to move it right 3 and up 5. 1, 2, 3 and up 5. And then I can flip it right there. I got to try to remember the 0.3, 5. So I'm going to flip this thing over, flip up, down. So it goes 3, 5 was right there. There's approximately my parabola. Look at how it goes through those 2 points that I made. Isn't that amazing? Okay. So now, remember, I'm supposed to erase everything outside the zone. All right, so the blue one here, I can't grab the blue function. That one right there. This blue function is only okay between negative 2 and 1. And so I'm going to block it off from negative 2 to 1. It's the blue function. So obviously it's not the red function. And the blue function isn't good anywhere else. So the blue function is only between negative 2 and positive 1. So now I erase all the rest of it. Are my endpoints on this one solid or empty? Solid. Because it's or equal to signs. So solid spot there, solid spot there. And then where x is greater than 1 here is where the parabola works. Well, that means the parabola works from the right, from 1 over. So from here all the way over. Now I should probably go a little farther with this then. So as I go like that, and there we go. And why would I get it marked wrong? Endpoints. Which endpoint is screwed up, on the blue or the red? The red one. And it says x is greater than 1. Didn't say or equal to. So it has to be an empty spot right there. It's going to be painful, but I will be marking that wrong for several people on the test, because you'll forget. Okay? That's a piecewise function. It's 2 functions at once that get put together, and it's like this part of the function from here to here, and this function from there to there. Yes? Yes? Good question. Okay, so for instance, let's say you had a graph where from negative infinity to 0, it was one thing, and on another part from 0 to infinity, it was something else. Well, it can only be 0 on one of the 2 spots. So let's say it's y equals x squared from here to there. That means it's a parabola on this side, and it's an empty spot. And let's say I said that this one was going to be absolute value of x from 0 to infinity. And this one I'm going to make a bracket. That means that at that spot, it goes like this. Do you think I should leave it empty, or do you think I should fill it in? You should fill it in. How can I have a filled in spot and an empty spot at the same spot? Well, you make the filled in spot filled in, and you make the empty spot go around it. You get what I just did there? Okay, so if you ever have an overlap, and I think you do on some of your homework tonight, there you go, then do that, where they share a spot. They can't both be filled in, though. Otherwise, that would be wrong. It'd be not passing the vertical line test. Okay. Actually, yeah, it would be the same output. Actually, it would still pass the vertical line test, but it's just tricky to draw something that's empty in one spot and filled in another. So make the empty spot kind of around it. Okay, I think that's enough for the piecewise functions. I think you'll understand how to do them. Remember, start by graphing them across the whole sheet. If you try to limit yourself and graph at the same time, it's really confusing. So graph the whole function, and then go back and erase it down to just the part you wanted. All right. Other thing I want to talk with you about is the test that's coming on Wednesday. Now, that covers domain, of course. We've been talking about that forever. It also covers increasing and decreasing intervals. So like for instance, if you have a graph that goes like this, you'd have to know what the absolute maximum of this graph would be, which if I put arrows on it, you'd probably be able to tell me. What's the absolute maximum of that graph? There is none. How about the local maximum? You see it? It's that spot right there. The local minimum, that spot right there. And you'd have to say, like, where was it increasing? The graph was increasing from negative infinity to 1. And then it was decreasing from 1 to 4, or whatever that is. And then it's increasing again from 4 to infinity. That's increasing, decreasing. That's just a really rough reminder of what you got to be tested on. Tomorrow is when I do my official review for the test. But some of you guys are seniors, and you aren't going to be here on Wednesday to take the test. So, and other people are just leaving early because your family's taking you someplace fun. If you're going to be gone Wednesday, then Tuesday, when we do the review, you should take the test right after school Tuesday if you can make that work. It's the best way to do it because we'll do the review in class. You'll be all fresh in your mind, and then you can take it right after class on Tuesday. Otherwise, if you can't, that's fine. You can take it after the long weekend. You're just going to want to remind yourself what it's about because you'll have forgotten everything. Okay? So raise your hand if you're a senior. Okay. And if you are going to be gone tomorrow, anybody that's going to be gone tomorrow? Oh, good. Just the seniors. Good. I don't mean tomorrow. Gone Wednesday. So if you're one of those people that's going to need the review sheet ahead of time, I'm going to be giving out these reviews tomorrow. But if you're a senior, you'd want it today so you can start reviewing for this test. You do not want to have to think, I'll just take a retake on it. Our new policy on retakes is going to have a little bit more teeth. Like you're going to probably end up having to do about 3 hours worth of stuff to get a retake. Besides reviewing the test, besides showing me all of your homework, we had a big list of all the stuff that is from this chapter. Not all the way back to the beginning of the year. You'll have to show me this last like 7 days worth of homework all completed. Then you're going to have a worksheet to do on top of that. And then you're going to have to meet with me in the morning too. So it's going to be a big checklist of junk to do. Don't count on retakes. It's a pain in the butt to do when it happens to you. If you have a bad test, that's what you should do. But you should not think, oh, I'll take a retake if I don't study. It's going to get painful because you'll start having retakes to do plus all the new stuff to learn. And it's like too much. You'll have too many things going on and you'll be stuck in this retake cycle. And to be honest too, I did have 2 or 3 people that took retakes and did worse on them than they did the first time. So you can't just count on a retake's going to always be an A. I did have a few people do that, but a lot of times retakes end up being tough because you're taking it like 5-6 days late. So don't get stuck in the retake cycle. All right, so anyway, hopefully you're going to study for your test on Wednesday. The test is Wednesday. If you're a senior, you'll take it Tuesday right after school, I hope. All right, I think that's all we have for today. Tomorrow's the big review day.